Hey Francesca, it is Mrs. Angelo, and I am doing a video just for you to give you some pointers and hints on things that you will need for FSA. So we have been talking about different topics that you need. So some of the things that I already says that you needed some help with was some subtraction with regrouping. All right, so we're working on subtraction with regrouping. So let's start off with 591 minus 287. All right, so we need to regroup. When we're subtracting, I can't take 7 away from 1, so I have to regroup. So I'm going to borrow from one place value to the left. So that would become an 8, and this will become an 11. So now I have 11 minus 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count up from 7. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 4. 8 minus 8 is 0, and 5 minus 2 is 3. And I can do 3, 4, 5, so I can see that. And I count up from my lower number. All right? So another type of problem we might have 3,231 minus 988. All right, so we start in our smallest place value, which is our ones place. I cannot take 8 from 1, so I have to regroup. So I'm going to borrow from the tens place. That becomes a 2. This becomes an 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 2 minus 8. I can't do that. I have to regroup, so I'm going to borrow from the hundreds. That becomes a 1. This becomes a 12. So 12 minus 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1 minus 9, I can't do that. I have to regroup. I'm going to borrow from the thousands, and this becomes an 11. 11 minus 9, 10, 11. And 2 minus nothing is 2. So 2,243. Another subtraction you might have to do would be to find the missing digit. So let's say we have 4,183 minus 2,300, missing this digit 6. All right, so we have a particular problem like this, and we have to solve for the missing digit. So the task to attack this is to go through and work through the regrouping and everything. So I have 3 minus 6. I can't do. That tells me I have to regroup. This becomes 13. This becomes a 7. 13 minus 6 is 7. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's 7. Now 7 minus blank equals 1. That tells me what I can put there. What minus, or what is 7 minus 1? That equals 6. So the missing digit is 6. And that would give me my answer. And I can stop there. I don't need to keep going. All right. So let's put up some practice problems for subtraction. All right, those are the two practice problems for subtraction. Let's go to the next topic. The next topic is rounding. Rounding. So here, the expectation is that you are able to round using the rule 0 to 4 stays the same. Oops, let's spell same right, S-A-M-E. And 5 to 9 goes up. All right, so you have to be able to round to the tens, hundreds, and thousands. So here's an example. Let's do 39,876. All right, if I need to round this particular number to the, and I'm going to write it a couple of times actually, so I can do that. And 39,876. Okay. So I want to round, I'm going to round to the tens place. So I'm going to look to my one place value to the right, and that's going to tell me, does that 7 stay the same or go up 1? So the rule is 5 to 9. This is a 6, so that means it goes up 1. Everything prior to my place value that I am rounding stays the same unless I have to regroup, and I don't have to here. So this will, the hundreds will remain an 8. The thousands will remain a 9, the 10,000s will remain a 3, and everything after the place value that I round to becomes a 0. So 39,876 rounded to the tens place becomes 39,880. Now let's say I want to round to the hundreds. Same number, rounding to the hundreds. One place value to the right, so it's a 7. The 7 tells the 8 to go up 1, so that becomes a 9. Everything prior to or before my rounding place value stays the same unless I have to regroup. So the thousands is a 9, the 10,000s is a 3, and everything after the place value that's being rounded becomes zeros. So 39,876 rounded to the hundreds is 39,900. Now we're going to look at 39,876 rounded to the thousands place. The 8 tells the 9 to go up 1, so that becomes a 10, which means I have to regroup. So I regroup, and now that 3 becomes a 4. Can't stay the same because I had to regroup that 10, and everything after the place value that I'm rounding becomes a 0. So 39,876 becomes 40,000 if I round to the thousands. All right, so now let's look at another number. So there will be questions on FSA that will be select all that apply. So this is select all. And it's rounding. So here we have rounded to the tens, rounded to the hundreds. And it's going to give you, so let's say our number is 96. All right, so 39,996. And it'll tell you that rounded to the tens, it'll be 40,000. And you need to select whether that's correct or not. Rounded to the hundreds, it would be 40,000. And you need to select whether that's right or not. And then you might have 37,612. Rounded to the tens, it might be 37,620. And then rounded to the hundreds, 37,700. All right? So you have to select whether these answers are right or wrong. Multi-select with these type of answers means there should be a row that has more than one, and there could be rows that have nothing. So, and let me do one more. Let's do 38,566. So this would be 38,000, and you're deciding whether this is correct. 38,570, 38,500. All right, so you are selecting all of the answers that are correct. So if I round this number, 39,996 to the tens. So I'm rounding to here. This 6 tells that 9 to go up 1. So I have to regroup, which means 9 plus 1 is 10, which means I have to regroup, which means 9 plus 1 is 10, which means I have to regroup, and 1 plus 3 is 4. So 39,986 is 40,000. So this is correct. That's correct. So now I'm going to look at the same number and write it over here. 39,996, and I need to round to the hundreds. So there's the hundreds, and you see how I write it out every time so that I can. So does that 9 tell that 9 to go up? It does tell it to go up 1. So it becomes a 10 and I have to regroup. This becomes a 10 and I have to regroup. And this becomes a 4. 1 plus 3 is 4. These become zeros. So rounded to 10, it becomes 40,000. Rounded to 100, it is 40,000. So both of these are correct answer responses. Now I'm going to go to this one. I'm rounding 37,612 to the tens. That 2, does it tell the 1 to go up or stay the same? It tells it to stay the same. And I can see right here, this says go up, so this is not a correct answer choice. Now I'm going to rewrite my number here. 37,612. Now I'm rounding to the hundreds. The 1 tells the sticks to stay the same. So that would be a 6 here, 7, 3. Everything prior to stays the same. Everything after 0. This has 37,700. This is not correct. So a multi-select problem like this can have more than 1 in a row and none in a row as long as there's at least more than 1 in the whole thing. Now let's look at this last one, rounding this to the tens. The 6 tells that 6 to go up 1, so that becomes a 7. Everything before stays the same. And everything after becomes a 0. 38,570, that is correct. Now let me look at the the hundreds. So the 6 tells the 5 to go up 1. Everything before stays the same. Everything after becomes zeros. 38,600, that is not correct. So for this multi-select rounding problem, there are 2 in the first row, none in the second, and 1 in the third. All right, let me give you 2 practice problems. So this one's going to be round to the tens. Round to the tens, please. 41,985. And then round to the hundreds, please. 5,991. All right. The next topic that we need to work on is comparing fractions. Comparing fractions. So let me write that here. Comparing fractions. So let's say I have 3/5 and I need to compare using inequality, so greater than, less than, or equal to 2/4. All right? And I need to determine which one's bigger. The easiest way to possibly do this is to cross multiply with your denominators. So I'm going to take this denominator, multiply it times that numerator to get my new numerator. This denominator, multiply it by that numerator to get my new numerator, and whatever numerator is bigger is my bigger fraction. So this becomes 3 times 4, which is 12. And this over here, 5 times 2, which is 10. 12 is bigger than 10, so 3/5 is greater than 2/4. Now, I can show you what this can look like in fraction bars, but it is much easier to do multiplication. So remember, when we're comparing fractions, we have to compare the same amount of space. So I create something like this, and I have to split this into fifths. So this bottom one is fourths. That's super easy. And it's 2/4, so I'm going to color that in. That's to there. And I have 3/5. And I have 3 of these. 1, 2, 3, and you are able to see that 3/5 does take up more space than 2/4, but this is much quicker and much faster, and if you're not very secure in drawing really straight, it's going to make it more difficult. So let's do another one. Let's do 2/4 and 3/6. So we cross denominator to numerator, and that numerator is the number you write it under because it's the new numerator for this one. So 6 times 2 is 12, and it's underneath this numerator. 4 times 3 is 12, and it's underneath this numerator. 12 and 12 are equal, so these two fractions are equivalent. And if I were to draw them out, you would see they take up the same amount of space. All right, so 5 times 7, and underneath the numerator, 35. So wherever the arrow is pointing is where the numerator gets written. 9 times 4 is 36. 36 is greater than 35, so 4/7 is greater than 5/9. All right, here's some practice problems for you, Francesca. Compare these fractions. And one more. All right, I hope this video helps, and I will add some more stuff the next time we meet. Thanks for watching. Bye, Franny.